Recently, I heard Patrick Mead say that he is not afraid of death, but he's afraid of dying. And that caused me to think about a lot of different things about this veil that we call death, that we pass through. All of us are going to face this sting of death that we read about and we hear about, but how do you describe what's on the other side? I don't know how that's possible. So what I'm going to talk about today is I really don't know a whole lot about. It's just something that it's there, and I want to pass some thoughts to you about this realm that we're talking about. It is a spiritual realm. It is not a place. It's not a place we're going to. Spiritual realms are different than this earthly realm. The spiritual realm, there are there are souls there without bodies. And time does not exist. And it's a place, it's a location, if you will. No, that's the wrong word. How do I describe it? And that's the issue we face. It's inhabited by spiritual beings. And what do we know about the other side? The Apostle Paul does a great job of not telling us much of anything in 2 Corinthians 12. When he said, I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven. Whether it is in the body or out of the body, I do not know, but God knows. And I know that this man, whether in the body or apart from the body, I do not know, but God knows, was caught up to a paradise and heard inexpressible things that no one is permitted to tell. Now, that tells me a whole lot, does it you? I don't learn much from that. And this thing, it couldn't be expressed because there's nothing we can relate to it in this realm. There's nothing that we can put our fingers on and say, oh, it's like this or it's like that or I had this feeling. It's just not there. And there's nothing that we can do except get confused when we start speculating on what it's like over there. So here I am, speculating on what it's like. The Jews had three concepts of heaven. They had the heavens where the birds flew, and they had the heavens where the stars were, and they had the heaven where God dwells. Their concepts, and that, of course, they write, their literature is written using their concepts, and that's what we're seeing here. Was he was caught up to this third heaven, if you will, that Jewish mind heaven. And a realm is not a place. It's not a place. And how do we deal with that concept, that something is not a place? And worse than that, time is not defined there. There's no such thing as time in that realm. Time does not exist. You exist at the moment. You don't exist in the future. You don't exist in the past. You exist at the moment. Now, if you can figure that out, you can explain that to me offline, and we'll both better understand it, hopefully. But this is we live in a world where time is a created commodity. It explains the motions of the bodies and the celestial bodies, and time deals with this happened yesterday, this happened now, this happened tomorrow. But that's something that has been created in this realm. And when this realm passes away, or if it were to pass away, time would not exist anymore. So when we're talking about the presence of God and also the spiritual realm, we're talking about something where time is not defined. Now let's establish something here. I just don't understand how I can say I am here and I can also be there if time is not defined. We won't even go there. Okay, we'll stop that. Never mind. Now, I don't want to become enemies over this, but I don't believe that heaven is a place. Now, heaven is going to come down to this realm, and then time will then exist in heaven because it exists in this realm. Now, if I act like I understand that, I don't. I just want to go on. And Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you, but what's he going to say? Let me explain the effects of the physics here, even though there is no physics in that spiritual realm. Let me explain that to you, Jesus could say to his followers. No, he's not going to say that. He has to talk in terms of things that they understand. And it's just like the Jewish mind. They had to explain things, and they talked about Sheol, or you've heard the word of Hades. Now, in the Greek, Hades literally is hade, means not seen. Not seen. Hade, Hades. Now, that's what they were using to explain something that happens after someone passes away. Now, they didn't know, but I tried to explain this once, and I was completely wrong. I went through a thing where we went through a hyperbaric chamber. We took off oxygen masks, and we were starved for oxygen. We had hypoxia, and all of a sudden our minds started playing tricks on us. And I used to say, well, that's what it's like when you pass from here to there. When people have a near-death experience, that's what they're experiencing, this hypoxia, if you will. No, I don't think so. I want to recommend a book. I'm not going to pursue this, and this near-death experiences. If you're interested in that, I suggest you read a book called After by Bruce Grayson. He's a medical doctor. He's an MD. And so you pursue that, if you will, by reading that book. But what is it like in this spiritual realm? What's something going on? There's no bodies. We don't have a body in that spiritual realm. There's no time. And nothing happens tomorrow. Nothing happens tomorrow. Because it's happening now. You will be one with the Creator. Okay? What's that mean? I don't know. I don't have a clue. You will immediately return to earth with Jesus because there's no waiting, because there's no time. And when Jesus returns to earth, no waiting, we'll be in a spiritual realm transported into a physical realm back to the new heaven and the new earth. That's my current understanding. I think that explains a lot, don't you? Right. Okay, here we go. Now, if time does not exist in the spiritual realm, how does this coexist with this realm? How is it possible that a spiritual realm can coexist with a physical realm that we live in? Now, in the Bible, there's some examples. In 1 Samuel chapter 28, King Saul finds himself outside of God's will, and he goes to the witch of Endor, and he's seeking some help. He wants the witch of Endor to call up Samuel to talk. He wants to talk to Samuel. Can you imagine that? And Samuel says he's called up, and he's left this spiritual realm, or he's entered this realm. He says, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Now, in the writings that were there, what's he going to say? He uses the word up, like he was down low and he went up. He departed a spiritual realm and became this realm. Place was existing here, not there. And all of a sudden the question he asked was to Samuel, or to the witch of Endor, "Why did you bring me up? Why did you bother me? Why did you do?" Samuel proceeds to reveal what will happen to Saul in the future. How does he know? Did God reveal it? Or is it because time doesn't exist? He can see the future before he left. He knew what was going to happen. He knew because there is no future. There is no time. And so, Solomon, he refers to the dead in Ecclesiastes 9:5. Solomon does. But again, these are Jewish writers expressing thoughts that they had with Jewish training. So I don't want to make a whole lot of speculations on what that means or nothing. Matthew 17, the transfiguration. Now there's an interesting one. We brought back some people who were dead to the presence of these select three apostles and the presence of Jesus, and they were there in time, in a place where previously they were not in time and in a place. That transfiguration broke the rules. It brought something back into the reality of this realm. Jesus in Luke chapter 16, the rich man and Lazarus. Is that a parable? A lot of people argue, say, well, that's a parable. You can't make any determinations from that. But there is an idea there of what the Jewish thoughts were and what Jesus conveyed to those, and we won't spend time on that, but look at Luke 16 if you want to on the parable, of the rich man and Lazarus. Finally, Stephen, he was being stoned in Acts, and he looked into heaven, and he saw Jesus standing at the right hand of God. He looked into heaven. At a particular time, he looked into heaven and saw into the spiritual realm where Jesus was standing at the right hand of God. Now, what's that mean? I don't have a clue. And I'm just going to continue to keep saying that. But what's the veil like over there? It's kind of like making a trip to a foreign country. What's it going to be like? I don't know, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. And so there we are. Time doesn't exist in that realm. It exists in this realm. And Samuel saw events in the present that were future to us. Now, what about Logos, the Word? In the beginning was the Word. Logos, Jesus, the incarnate God. What does that mean? He was with God in the beginning. He was God in the beginning. The beginning of what? This creation, the cosmos. He divested himself of his godhood and made himself nothing in Philippians. And as he returned to the spiritual realm after his death and resurrection, he no longer was bound by this time that he was when he put on this body on earth. Everything is present tense. The beginning, the return, the existence of those whose spirit has crossed the veil. Those who have saints that have departed and are now within the presence of God. They're one with God. I love a story, not true, but I love this story. A man went to his doctor and he said he had an incurable disease, and he said, "Doc, I'm afraid of dying." And the doctor looked at him, walked over to the door, rattled the knob a little bit, and all of a sudden we hear barking on the other side and pawing at the door. And the doctor opened that door. That dog sprang into the room, and he said, "I want to tell you something. That dog has never been in this examination room. Why do you think he wanted in here so badly? Because his master was in here and he knew it." We, in the same regard, know our master is in that spiritual realm beyond the veil. That's all.